There needs to be a home base where as a crew member that there is a place and a group of people that fully understand you. There's nothing you can say that would shock us, and we're going to be here and we're available. And so, however you communicate best is how you find us. And by form, I mean name, email address, and tell us your story. That's all
Yeah.
I'm asking for. If that's how you communicate, get us that way. If it's through DMs on social media, get us that way. If you want to text us, text us. If you want to call, call. And we're going to be there to support you in whatever the situation might be. Like we will have a resource, and if we don't, we will figure it out together. We always say that roadies make miracles happen every 24 hours, and we don't say no to a challenge.
La 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 la, ladies, the ladies. La, la, la. Now here's the leading ladies by geezers of gear. On tour, maybe she got some stories to share. Now here's the leading ladies by the geezers of gear. Rock star ladies with some stories to share, because la 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 ladies, the ladies, la la.
Hello,
Let's do
Courtney,
it.
and welcome to the Leading Ladies podcast.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Really, it's a pleasure. I know we've just had like a little chat, but everything you're doing, which we're going to go into, like it's a passion of mine, just to spread the word, to help people. And I've heard about the Roadie Clinic, obviously from Jennifer or Jen.
Yes. Yep.
And she connected me to you. And she said, you must speak to Courtney. So here we are.
Jen Jacobs, I love you so much. You are incredible. She is, whoever hasn't watched her episode, watch it, because she's a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Really, and it took us like about a year, I think, to connect. It might have only been 2 years to connect, but like
Wow.
she came on, and it was like she was just incredible,
Yeah.
and the energy and the stories, and
Yes.
as I said, even from the like I asked people to fill in like the guest form and stuff, and
Yep.
even on that, she had like the Roadie Clinic. That's the
Mm.
charity. So like it's really really lovely.
Yes.
So, first question is, one, where are you? And yeah, where are you?
Where am I? I am in a town in Michigan called Niles. If you look at the hand, I don't know if I'm doing this right. We're in the lower southwestern side of Michigan, and so I like to say that we're Michigan light. We're 10 minutes to Notre Dame University in South Bend, Indiana. Like you don't even know that you're crossing into Indiana.
Oh, right,
And
okay.
because of that, we have an international airport 15 minutes from our front door, and we have an Amtrak train that comes right into our little tiny town. We're 10 minutes off the interstate. My husband has passed our exit 100 times on tour before we actually moved here. And so, yeah, COVID kind of kicked us out of New York City. For the majority of our 23 years married, we've been East Coasters. And we thought for sure that this would just be temporary. And that was 6 years ago last month. So I don't think it's
Wow.
temporary. Yeah.
So
And,
sorry, go on.
no, I was just, were you going to ask what brought you to Michigan?
Yeah.
Yes. So for 20 years, all we knew was the tour life and go, 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 go. When I met my husband, I was a small child. I was a junior in high school, and I just thought, ugh, you're gross. But I heard he was a really good sound engineer, and I was a performer at that point in time. So I was like, can you at least mix my music? I'd really appreciate that.
I love this story already.
Right. And so, 5 years later, I'm like, ooh, I think I love you. And we got married.
I think I love you.
Yeah, right. And our company name is Theory One Productions. We really got to know each other in Music Theory 1 and Music Theory 2. That's kind of where I started the progression of like, maybe no, I don't like this guy. But because I've known him for that long, I'll be 45 in a couple months. He'll be 47 here in a couple weeks. I've seen him from the very start of his career up to where he's at today, and that allowed us to just see a lot of this industry and pay attention and listen.
LightSwitch is a collective of award-winning lighting, media, and visual designers committed to changing how people experience the world. For more than 30 years, we have been practicing pragmatic design. At LightSwitch, we believe it's our responsibility to keep our clients' creative, logistical, and financial objectives in balance. LightSwitch's range of expertise is extensive, from working one-on-one with clients and artists to multidisciplinary teams collaborating on all visual aspects of temporary and permanent projects. LightSwitch creates unforgettable moments and powerful experiences. We celebrate our team, clients, and all of our industry's diverse and talented people. As a part of our commitment to inclusion in all aspects of entertainment and experience design, LightSwitch is proud to sponsor Leading Ladies.
So when we got out of college, he didn't even make it through college because the professors were like, you should probably just drop out and go start working. Because at this point, Pro Tools had just come out in, 98-ish, 97, 98. He was learning it as it came out right along with the professors. Well, the problem was is that he stayed awake for 3 days at a time. And so he would read ahead. So that by the time he went to school specifically for that, the teachers were like, dude, we're still learning and you've already gotten to this chapter. Just why are you wasting your money? Just go tour.
Wow. But that's good advice. I respect that.
Yes, I do
Mhm.
too. Didn't stop us from having school loans, but it did stop him from. So at that point in time, we were in Southern Illinois, and the next stop that everybody did was Nashville. And I
Okay.
thought, okay, well, this was in 2003, and this is right as Napster was coming in and destroying record labels.
Mhm.
So I was there in that sweet spot right before Napster really did its damage. And I was brought in at EMI, biggest label in Nashville at the time, Christian music group. And I was brought in at $24,000 a year to work on brand management and catalog development, which pretty much means take all of our music that we've already released and find a way to repackage it and make more money off of it. So we copied everything that the secular industry did. So now hits in the secular market changed to wow hits in the Christian market, and I was in charge of pushing that along. Point is, he started in Christian music touring, so that is like you don't even have a bus. You've got a people mover, or you've got a U-Haul truck that's been outfitted and put like bunks in. So he did that for the first couple of years we were married. Once we got married, he got Tanya Tucker. Now, the first day he he walked into Tanya Tucker, they said, okay, she's fired every engineer she's had for the last 10 shows. So good luck. You probably won't be here long. And he lasted there for a year and a half. But that was Weekend Warrior touring. And I was working a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And then he would come home and he would work a night shift at a studio. So we never saw each other. We only lasted in Nashville a year and a half. I'll speed up the story.
No,
Went
no,
straight-
don't. I'm loving this. I'm loving it. Really, go
Great.
into detail. I love it. Really.
Okay.
These are the stories that people want to listen to. How you started.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm seeing the writing on the wall at the label. The only reason I'd ever got fired, I made it through 3 massive layoffs. And because I was there at 24 grand a year, they're like, could you please stay? Sure. Except I wasn't seeing my husband, and I wasn't there was no challenge. And so, as you did back in those days, my husband got a job on Craigslist for a composer in New York City. And this composer hadn't yet been hit by Napster. So he had his own little keyboard studio in Manhattan, in the heart of the fashion district, right before you hit Times Square. And he had this little 2-room studio, and the one room was all keyboards everywhere, and the other room was the computers and whatever. And this guy did theme songs for Good Morning America, or if National Geographic did a series, he did the music behind it. Well, Paul lasted there for about 2.5 years until Napster caught up to him, and everybody's home studio caught up to him, and all of a sudden he couldn't pay his bills just on his music. So I put together Paul's resume and we sent it out, and within 24 hours he had a new job at Mask Sound. Mask Sound, that's MASQUE, out of East Rutherford, New Jersey. They are one of 3 major providers to the Broadway theaters. So at that point, it was 2005. And Paul was brought in to handle industrials. Industrials were like if Microsoft was doing a great release and they wanted to shut down a city block in Manhattan, had people flying off buildings and music and all of the things, and they would put hundreds of thousands of dollars into these events. So for one of them, they had Paul take a system to Philadelphia, and it was for a little known artist named John Legend. And this was 20 years ago, John Legend, okay? So this is the album that John just got done touring this year was the 20-year celebration of the album that Paul toured with him, right? So at that point, now we are a very neurodivergent family here, and my husband is bipolar and ADHD, and I've got generalized anxiety disorder and fibromyalgia, right? The one thing about his brain is it cannot put two sentences together to form a paragraph. So what Mask Sound didn't know is that I was doing all of Paul's emails, all of his contracts, all of his paperwork. And in doing that, I saw a massive piece of the puzzle that they were missing in the industry, which was installations. And so I wrote a proposal to Mask Sound and I said, hey, bring me on and I can create this division and da 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 da. And they did. And I was there for 7 years and we ended up becoming a preferred vendor with the city of New York. I did installations at Lincoln Center and St. Patrick's Cathedral and
Saw that.
NYU. And at NYU, I actually built a studio. But like, hear me when I tell you, I could not care less about audio. Like, it is not my passion. I am not here to sell consoles or speakers or microphones. And yet, for 7 years, that's what I ended up doing. And I did that because the Affordable Care Act didn't yet exist. And so we had to have insurance because, as I previously mentioned, we're batshit. And we need our medications and we need our doctors. So I stayed there at Mask for 7 years while he, for the first 9 months, was on tour with John Legend, and then he got a call from his mentor, who was U2's monitor engineer, a man named Dave Scaff, who, rest in peace, he will always be on a pedestal for us. And Dave called Paul, and he said, dude, you've got to get off the bus, and when you're in Connecticut, and take a cab down to New York, and you have to go audition at Saturday Night Live. And I was like, no. What? No. He's not funny. No. What are you talking about? We can pay our bills now. What? But how do you not do that?
Of course.
So he gets there and, somebody handed his resume to the guy and the guy was like, eh. And they start walking him around and introducing him as Jimmy Fallon's monitor engineer. And I was like, come again? Who? What? No. Why does Jimmy need a monitor engineer? And what band are you? What? No, the Roots hadn't even been announced yet. Like, this wasn't a thing. And we had to make a really difficult decision because we had essentially 3 salaries going with the John Legend thing because he was still getting paid by Mask. I worked that deal out in the background. But like, that was taking all of our comfortability, and we're now taking a chance on Jimmy Fallon. And like, Jimmy Fallon 20 years ago, that was not somebody to take a chance on. If you were even to go back to his first week of shows from Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, I was like, oh no, we've got to get a new job. Like, we've got to figure out plan C because this isn't going to work.
And now,
but it worked. And he was there for the 7 years I was at Mask. He was with Jimmy Fallon. And then he was doing like weekends with Saturday Night Live. And that just became our lifestyle where Paul would be gone now 5 days a week at the Tonight Show. Then they would get on a plane on Friday night and they would go to Europe for the weekend and do like 4 shows in 2 days and then fly back home on the 6 a.m. flight on Monday. The crew would have to go right back to the Tonight Show. The band would get to go home and rest for a little bit and then they'd just go. And this happened for 7 years. It was nonstop. We heard more than one time from doctors, how are you not dead? Because of high blood pressure, because of. We, in the middle of those 7 years, I had my massive mental health crisis where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I wasn't suicidal, but like the anxiety was off the charts. I didn't even know my husband anymore. Like, he came home from John Legend and I started having panic attacks because he would walk up the stairs, and I was like, "There's a strange man in my house.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
you're not
know
used to
this.
seeing him.
Who is this guy?" And at the same time, he had undiagnosed sleep apnea. So he wasn't sleeping. And so he would come home from the show and fall asleep. He would, like, if there was a quiet moment in the show, he'd crawl under his console and fall asleep. Like, he could fall asleep anywhere. So I don't know is the answer. I don't know how we made it through, other than we're both very stubborn, and he's been my best friend since I was a child. Like, nothing, we're not going anywhere, but still we had some work to do. So we both got into therapy and medications and diagnoses, and got a trainer and spent a lot of money. Like, for all of those years, you'd think we would have a nice nest egg. Nope. Every dollar was spent on just keeping ourselves going. I told Paul after 7 years, you can leave for 3 people. And this was in 2015. You can leave for Beyonce, you can leave for U2, and you can leave for Justin Timberlake. And this was Justin way back when. And I thought for sure, and I said those 3 names because I thought never, ever would any of them call. So that when Justin's people start calling, I'm like,
No.
come on.
You gotta, like, give me a break. I was joking.
I was joking, but seriously. So for the next 6 months, we're going back and forth. Now, this is when Justin and Jimmy were in their height of their bromance. They were doing commercials together for Verizon, and they were,
Yeah.
and yeah, I remember for 6 months trying to convince this guy that he did not want to switch with Paul. He was not going to be happy. He was not going to get the pay that he was used to. He was not going to get the schedule that he was hoping for. But he had just gotten married, and they wanted to try married life, and I was like, best of luck. I warned you. At that same point too, around that same time, I was like, if there was a holiday in America, I was bored because we don't have kids. So I would just cook a meal and I'd bring it to the Roots. And they loved my chili. So I remember sitting there with my chili on one President's Day or something in January. And the stage manager for the show comes running in, and like, somehow they think that I'm going to do a show on the roof while I'm doing a show down here, and I can't be in 2 places at once. And what am I going to do? And I was like, I can do it. Pick me. And if I had not made that chili and I had not shown up it would have never. But even so, I say I can do it. I don't even hear from them for the next 6 weeks. I got the call on a Friday that the following Friday I needed to have the roof of Rockefeller Center ready to go to be filmed by the local news chopper, the helicopter. So that means I have a 7-minute window, by the way, to get 2 recordings of 1 song in. I had to coordinate with a marching band from Rutgers University who had no concept that they were playing with U2. So imagine a bunch of college kids with their drums, and they're like, all that they know is a song that has never been released. They have not heard the vocals, so they don't know that's Bono singing.
No way.
They're showing up to Rockefeller Center having and I have to, so them, helicopter, jib cameras hanging off the 72nd floor of Rockefeller Center. And by the way, Rockefeller Center does not care that NBC is a renter. They still are going to make their dollars on human traffic coming up the stairs and going to see the roof, right? So from midnight to 8 a.m. are the only times they don't allow humans upstairs, just random tourists that want to go and see the sights. So I had an 8-hour window, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and by Friday I was supposed to be ready to go.
Oh my goodness.
And I did it. So you can Google that show, U2 on Top of the Rock.
I have. I've done it.
So how do you do a show like that and then go back to a desk job selling consoles? You just can't. Like, I couldn't. So I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to manage Paul. That's what I'm going to do. And he officially went to Timberlake, and he started 5 years with Timberlake, and that was during Trolls, the original Trolls. He was there for the Super Bowl halftime show, the Oscars, all the big things. And after
So what at
5
this point was you say you was managing Paul, so what was you like basically a
yeah.
joint team doing all of this together basically?
Well, when he went into the Timberlake camp, it was at the end of the 2020 experience tour, so he had only 6 months or so on that tour, and then it was a solid, like, year to year and a half of nothing. So for that year to year and a half, we actually left New York and we went back to Nashville. We had to retrain the industry that Paul was no longer the TV guy. Because you can imagine 300 bands a year would come through the Tonight Show and Paul would work with every one of them. And 9 times out of 10, he got a job offer. And he's like, nope, I'm here. I work here. So we went back to Nashville because there's a lot more one-offs and, just we only lasted 15 months. I can't do Nashville. I can't do the humidity, the snakes, the spiders, the locked. Like I need my coast. I need a Great Lake, like Lake Michigan, or I need the ocean, but I
Yep.
cannot do Tennessee. Um, so we did that, and that's where managing his career is necessary. I mean, he was like jumping from one camp to the next, and he already had like 7 A-list artists that just knew that he could fill in here and there and everywhere. So classic example. I remember, and this is after Timberlake, he went to Drake and the Roots and a bunch of other people before COVID hit. And I remember the day that we were switching camps. This was Timberlake was done. John Legend, every now and then would hire Paul to do like front of house after he left that camp. And John was going to do a show in Sicily, in this archaeological ruins in Sicily. But first he was going to do a show in Central Park. And there's going to, right? So Paul was going to do both. And I was like, ooh, Sicily, we've never been. Let's go. I'm going to go with you. We'll celebrate our anniversary. We're going to be there for like 5 days because to load into archaeological ruins takes some time. Well, you see, on the way down to the first show in Central Park, Paul fell down the stairs and sprained his ankle. Now, my husband is a 6'4" giant of a man, and this is New York. Am I going to ask a cab to drive us 1 block to the clinic up the road? And yet, that's what we're having to do. So, long story short, Paul's in not even a boot. They just wrapped up his ankle and he's taken a cab to Central Park and he's never been on crutches before. So he's trying to like crutch. And within an hour of being in Central Park, the mayor of the city canceled the concert because it was the hottest day on record in Central Park. That preceded then the entire crew and band came to our tiny New York City apartment in that hottest day of the year to hang out for a few hours because we were all going to go to Sicily the next day, and why not? So we get to the airport as he's hobbling, and I get him to Sicily, and within 2 hours of landing, he gets a phone call. Paul, you got to go jump on the private jet. You got to go do 2 shows in France with John while we get set up here in Sicily. And I was like,
No.
excuse me, what? And the accommodations were less than ideal. Like I had internet like 5 minutes at a time. And this was when there was a volcano exploding, maybe in like 1998, no, 2018,
Was that the
2019.
Icelandic one? Not the
Yes.
it was where there's a big black cloud and basic all flights got grounded.
Yes,
I
exactly.
was I
We
was
were
stuck in
supposed to
China then.
go. Oh my gosh. We were supposed to go from Sicily to JFK Airport to get on a flight to go up to Toronto to start working with Drake the next day. I mean, like the day after the Sicily gig. And so I'm like feverishly trying to rebook flights. How? There's no internet.
There's nothing.
And then I'm like trying to deal with Drake's people. Like, I don't know what volcanoes are going to do. And I think that there was also a strike of the airline workers being threatened at the same time.
If it is the one that we're talking about, everything basically was grounded. Like there was no
Yeah.
flights, for I think a week. Most people got stuck in Dubai if they were doing like the crossover.
Yeah.
Then I was actually stuck in China at the time,
Mm.
and yeah, it was a crazy time. So, and
It was
I mean, what did you
terrifying.
do?
I don't know. Again, I don't know. Other than I kept like for 72 hours, I was just trying to rebook myself because I wasn't on the same flight reservation as he was. He was with the band. I was over here on my own. And I don't know how we got out of there, but I do remember getting to JFK and just sitting in a restaurant with him and going, what just happened?
And it's often quite like you had to deal with, like you said, Paul was part of the band group, so kind of being dealt with and organized. You wasn't, and you're trying to organize yourself, and just the whole thing gets really stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this
really.
is
I mean,
this is Sicily. This isn't, Italy proper. This isn't like
yeah, yeah, yeah. This
a
is like
lot of
small.
right? Um, so long story short, the idea for the Roadie Clinic was written there in Sicily. I just
No
started
way.
writing, angrily writing, and I started writing on the airplane. I never take out my laptop on an airplane, but I took my laptop out and I typed the whole way to Sicily. I ended up writing a 45-page document on what our experiences have been, how I wish things were different, the perspective on crew, and the paranoia of crew is like, music cares isn't for me. That's for them. And I'm like, no, baby, actually, music cares is for you. Let me show you how. Um, so yeah, my 45-page document, then I started sharing that with people, and I was just like, I really feel like there needs to be a place built by roadies for roadies,
Mhm.
because we are such a paranoid people, for at
Oh,
least them
we
to be
are.
able to just call and say, hey, I read this on the website. Does that mean I don't qualify? And to be able to walk them through and say, no, actually what that means is keep going. You will get the support. I validate you over here. They will take care of you over there. Um, and that was in 2019, July of 2019, that I wrote all of that. In October of 2019, we were here in Niles, Michigan. This is where we would come after tour. It was just a really easy place to get to. We're 90 miles to Chicago,
Yeah, yeah.
2.5 hours to Detroit, 2.5 hours to Indianapolis. So we would just come here because my cousins have this magical property that has puppies year round. My cousin breeds puppies. They have a
Oh,
pond and a pool, and they have the kids that aren't our kids, but they're our kids, and we love them. And this just
yeah.
became our safe place. But we never left their house. So we never knew that Lake Michigan was 20 minutes away. We never knew what was downtown. And one of the days, Paul's like, Courtney, look at this building. We can get this whole building for very little money. And I was like, game on. So October of 2019, we closed on the building. And the purpose for that building was to be a lifeline. I was hearing stories of roadies left behind left and right. Like I had a roadie, she was just left in Australia, just left there. The crew went on without her, and they just were like, good luck getting home. I had another roadie show up at the airport with the whole crew, and the flight attendant said, everybody, you go this way, except for you go that way. And that's how that person learned they were fired. I've had other, oh yeah, I've had other people that get home and their stuff is on the lawn and they're locked out of their home, or they come home and their partners completely abandoned them and moved away. I've had people that just bomb out, and like I find them on the ground, like literally on the ground, drunk out of their minds, not safe. And I just knew that there needed to be a physical space, a place where we could. And then there's just those diehard roadies that are out for 50 weeks a year and don't want to pay rent, right? So, okay, they need a space that they don't have to. So I just knew that we needed a place with beds and a kitchen. And if I could do
No
that.
way.
So we bought that in October of 2019. Now, this building was built in 1850 and it hadn't been lived in since then. And so in January of 2020, there was no talk of there was barely a sliver. I think Beyonce, something about China, had to cancel a show, but it was just a show. It was no big deal. So we're here. We're doing demolition on the building. We're contracting the architect. We're expecting Drake's tour to pay for it all, and this is going to be great, and we're going to have this safe space. And then COVID hit.
Then it all just went. But during that time now, look where you are now, and you're doing it, and you've done it
We're doing
against
it.
all the odds.
Well, that building still sits as a construction site. We still, that's going to be about $1 million to get that building to be built the way we see it.
Okay.
Partly because I need to install an elevator. That thing's not cheap. But in the meantime, when we originally bought that building, the whole plan was to have an ecosystem within the building to support the Roadie Clinic so that we wouldn't have to deal with, fundraising and all of that nonsense. Well, at the same time, right across the street, a beautiful building was for sale. And and my cousins bought that, and upstairs was a loft, and they turned that into our home. And then about a year later, the realtor who sold me the Roadie Clinic called, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I just got the building next to where you live, and I'm gonna put it on the market." And I was like, "The hell you are! You're selling that to us." And that's what I'm sitting in right now. So this is my husband's retirement. With his last tour was Madonna, and we were able to build our studio in Niles. So through that 550-pound door is a Paragon 2 analog console that's been retrofitted to be a recording console. We have as much analog as we do digital, and this is his retirement. But this is only phase 2 of a multi-phase plan. The next thing that we're doing across the street, we just got a bar, and we are turning that into a listening room. It's going to have an L-acoustic surround system in there. And that should be open July. Upstairs from that is our first band housing, and my nephew, who is our assistant, is living there. And then if you go out the back door of my venue and into the alleyway, you go right up the stairs into the Roadie Clinic once it's built.
Oh my
So
god, I
we're
wanna
building
come
this.
now.
So the point is, any business that opens within our ecosystem then has to give 10% to the Roadie Clinic. So we're already seeing this work in small ways. The
Yeah,
studio
yeah,
is
yeah,
just
yeah.
starting to like take on paid clients, and we're seeing that those donations come in. And then if that bar can open in July, same thing with that. And then, yeah, that's just a place that all of our creatives, we have 9 people that have moved to our small town in Niles, Michigan to help us build this. We have a family, Shannon and Al Cook. They sold their business in North Carolina, and they moved their whole family up here, and they've got a beautiful property on the river with 19 acres. They might build tiny houses for roadies. We'll see. We have 3 kids from Illinois, and I say kids, we're talking mid-20s here. These people were just beautiful creatives. They were making what's the music? It's the complete opposite of EDM. It's
Okay.
chill, it's vibey. So they came here a year ago, so that put us up to 5 people. Just last week, we had Logan move here. He's our video editor. We have a video village downstairs. Anything we do in the studio is filmed. Everything that we learned at our 7 years of television, we put into this studio. So everything we do is filmed. And then next week, we have our numbers girl moving here. She'll be my in-house accountant. And then we've got potentially 3 more creatives moving from North Carolina within the next month. So we don't even have, we're not
This is
even
amazing.
open. But these are people that see the vision. They understand that in the late hours when we're in bed, they can be in the studio for free and play and do what they
Yeah, yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then when the bar opens, every show that we do there, they will be employed at those shows, and then they can also work in the bar if they need other hours. And same with roadies. If they need a few months off and they want to just come move into one of our spaces, they can do that, and then we can put them to work if they want work, and if they just want to play, we have plenty of ways they can play.
So how
Yeah.
many so when you say somewhere that they can stay, is it like, are you doing it that you've got your own room and like you've got
Mhm.
lots of rooms there, or is it like it's like a
Yes.
dorm style? Like what's your vision for the actual
When
building?
when we get open, the second floor will have 4 beautiful lofts, private lofts with their own bathrooms. So it'd
Uh-huh.
be like renting your own Airbnb, but let's call it a bed and breakfast because you'll have your meals served downstairs in the commercial kitchen. On the 3rd floor, we'll have 2 more lofts with private bathrooms and then 3 bunk rooms, like no windows. It's almost like a glorified tour bus, but way better. Then we'll have 2 soundproof therapy suites, and those can have beds in them as well. And then the Roadie Clinic offices will be on the 3rd floor as well. So I'll get out of the studio and up into there.
And
So
yeah.
so that building alone, we'll be able to house an entire tour bus, and everybody will have their own bedroom. The people on the 3rd floor will have to share bathrooms. But then, like, eventually we'll have that apartment above the venue. If that opens up, that could become long-term housing for a roadie who needs it. Um, there's a couple of other spaces that will be like that eventually as well. So, that's the great thing about Notre Dame being so close. There are tiny little Airbnbs all over the place, and so if we need to put somebody someplace else that's not a specific Roadie Clinic facility, but it's still their
And
own
you're
private
you're
space,
close to everything and everyone, because I think that's
everything.
That's what I always struggled with, and I know you're probably gonna agree, like, you're on a tour bus, you're touring, you're used to seeing people in whatever random city, not random, but the city you're in
Yeah.
when you're at tour. You know that the hotel room next door is someone to the left,
Yes.
above you, down below. You are never alone, but you've got your own time. But
Yep.
then when you go home, you're just alone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I used to struggle with that. Like, I mean, people here, I mean, I live in Greece, and they used to know that they wouldn't see me for at least a week until until I just acclimatized to basically being
yeah.
home.
Yeah.
But also nobody understood what I did.
Yes.
So I was just
Yeah.
like, I couldn't talk about it.
No.
If let's say I moaned about it, not moaned, but like, oh, it was like, oh, it was really hot, tiring or whatever. They're like, oh, but you was on tour with Coldplay, or like, they don't see the side that I used
Yes.
to see. So to have this, and also I never had a base till many years later. So
Yeah,
I
like a
never really had a
community.
base.
Yeah.
I was one of those that didn't wanna pay the rent all year because,
Mhm.
well, that's a waste of money, but then I'd spend it on a load of rubbish, when like, the best thing I ever did was having a base, like, that's the truth.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't find that out for, like, a good 25 years later.
Neither did we. And we
Yeah.
also just expected that we couldn't just live in a random place and still work in the industry. Like, we just expected that we had to live on a coast, or we had to live in
Mhm.
Nashville, or we had to live. Actually, you don't. You can live in a tiny town where you get twice as much buck for, money for
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
dollar. Like, when we get price quotes for these jobs for here in Michigan, I mean, it's night and day from my construction prices in New York City, when I was doing these jobs. But you're absolutely right. Even, you said that on tour that you're never alone, but I say you're always alone, even though you're never alone. And that's the isolation. And the isolation is what breeds that paranoia. And then, yes, just when you come home to your community and they don't get it, like nobody understood and still don't understand our lifestyles. I still have college friends saying, "Hey, can we plan a time to see each other in 6 months?" And I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 6 months. I can't plan anything in 6 days from now. And that's been my life since the day I left college. And still, people don't fully grasp that. And most of the people that I work with are the ones coming home and really struggling. Even, I have to tell, we have a partner support group. It's called Crew Peeps, and we meet once a month, and we've got a private socials community. And I even have to remind those people, like, hey, if your person's coming home from the road, remember, they're going to have 0 words for you for the first 2 to 4 days. Like, don't ask anything of them. Don't plan anything for them. Give them a day sheet. Tell them what food there is in the house, and let them play video games for the next 4 days if that's what they need. Excuse me, let them be like completely comatose if that's what they need, because it is a trickery that our brains play with us. How do you go from getting this incredible show from one city to the next for all of these months, and then you get home and you can't figure out how to put on a new outfit for a few days? You can't figure out how to feed yourself.
Do the washing. Like, what do you mean do the
Yeah,
washing? I've been
what
handing
does
my
that
laundry
even?
bag to production whenever I need
Yeah.
it doing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, and then equally for the people at home, I mean, I can't gird your loins. Like when they're going to show up and drop their bag and it's going to explode all over your house, and everything that you knew to be clean and fresh and wonderful is all going to get thrown out the window as well. Because they're used to just destroying their hotel rooms. And I don't mean like actively destroying a hotel room. I mean, just opening your suitcase.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. And the hotel room is, well, apparently that's what my living room is when he shows up. So my living room becomes the hotel room, and there can be a suitcase there for 3 or 4 days. That used to chat my ass so much,
Yeah.
but I had to learn how to give him
Do
grace. And
Yeah.
if I don't want that suitcase there, then I'm going to do something about it. I can't force him to. I mean, he's
Mhm.
just been gone for 9 months. I can't
Yeah.
force him to do anything. But that took us a long time to learn. And we had a lot of triggers in our communication. And it led me, like, his ADHD made me believe that my opinion wasn't valuable and my perspective wasn't valuable, and all he cared about was the gig. And in actuality, he was just trying to survive. So we made a system in our calendars, And if you were to look at my calendar, it might fully overwhelm you. But for us, it's a shorthand. It's how we communicate now. So if something shows up on our calendar and it's in red, it means, hey, Court, I've been offered this gig, but we haven't talked about it yet. So I'm just going to put it in here so that you see it. But it's cool. If he had put that in the calendar in green and we hadn't talked about it yet, I would have ripped into him. How dare you take this gig without me? We had this, right? But he doesn't do that anymore. And that took a long time to figure out. If something is in black on the calendar, it means don't even think about touching this date. Like, I don't care if somebody dies. This day is booked. So, like, don't mess with this date. If the calendar was in brown, it meant like that was our mental health calendar. So what I would do, I would look at his tour schedule and I would put in there, this is a travel day, this is a show day, this is an off day. And I would look at that and in my head acknowledge, okay, if he's been traveling for 48 hours, he's going to be crabby. His triggers are going to be really easily tripped. And I just need to play it safe and give him extra grace. And the same thing with me. Like if he noticed that, I had visitors for 3 days and then I was going to be hormonal, like if he could see that stuff coming, that's important. So that if we had a tiff and why are you being like this? Look at the calendar. Do you remember what was going on? And then we just have a different color for every artist. And that was kind of how I kept that going. So that was one thing that we learned early on. And then another thing that we learned was texting habits. If he texts me an @ symbol, it means shut up until you hear from me again. I promise everything's okay. Something is going on. And that came about because back in the day, before texting was really a big thing and way before FaceTime, we were on a phone call and he just hung up on me. And I was like, oh,
Thanks.
no. So I call him back and I call him back and I call him back and I call him back. And finally, like 45 minutes later, he's like, Courtney, the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, was talking directly to me under backstage. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't answer. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
oops, my bad.
Yeah, but at the same time, one, you didn't know. Like, you didn't know. And like you said, it's like the phases of learning each other,
Yep.
And I've done it now with my husband as well. We went through the learning phase at the beginning. It was very difficult.
Yep.
Even responding to a text. Why aren't you responding to me? Like all of these things. And like you did the act, like, I'll call you back. I say to him, just quickly send an X, like a kiss.
Yes.
Send an X, send a kiss. I know that you've, nowadays there's, you got double ticks and you got this, so you've seen it. So why aren't you answering?
Yes.
Your mind goes crazy. And if myself included, like I'm an overthinker. So then I think the worst.
Yep.
But now we have a system. Okay, it's different now. We literally were 24/7 with each other.
Now you're just like, are you leaving anytime soon?
Seriously, I'm like,
use...
do you want to leave the house now?
Do you have a flight you need to catch? Like I put Paul on an airplane 6 days ago and I was like, yes, I love you. I'm going to miss you. But I love you so much. But yeah, we got very used to being apart.
But trying to, obviously, because you don't just help roadies, but you help the families deal with these things. But it's because you've been through it and you've come out of it that you can give the advice. And that's what I love about this.
Yeah. Well, that really is the point, right? It's and we even say like we had to go through COVID because we were on unemployment for the first time and we were uninsured for the first. Oh wait, we went to Medicaid for the first time and we were literally without a house for several weeks. They're really outside of a divorce and kids. There's not much we haven't experienced on the road, and that was really important in building the Roadie Clinic. And it was a gift to. I mean, as tragic as COVID was, for 2 years we had a lot of roadies with nothing to do, so they really spoke into what we're building, and that also just gave me time. And so the Roadie Clinic, it's more than just a mental health arm. We are what we call a hub here in the States. For 2 years, I just made phone calls and I figured out what's out there and what do they do and who qualifies and who will talk to me and allow me to advocate for my people so that I didn't reinvent any wheels. There was no point in reinventing wheels. I knew that Music Cares existed. If I had understood the way they could support me, there are so many situations in our life where I would have gone to them and gotten support that I never received. And so that's how we had to fight these battles. So, if somebody comes to me and they say, I need cash, I'm like, well, we're broke, but music cares. Let's
Yeah.
make sure you qualify and I'm going to help you get some money. I always say I'm great at finding money for other people. I'm terrible at finding money for the Roadie Clinic, but we'll get there. So yes, I learned all of these other organizations. I utilize them every single day when I'm taking care of people, but then I also saw gaps in care. So the first thing, the most obvious thing was peer support. Not everybody needs a counselor. Not everybody needs a therapist. A lot of us do. I'd say that over 80% of this industry is neurodivergent in some way, whether that's autism or bipolar or depression, whatever it is, you fill in the blank. We've got a bag of goodies in our industry. So, I had to see what was out there. Backline, they came around the same time that the Roadie Clinic did, and I was so excited because that meant I didn't have to start looking for therapists that understood our language, right?
Mhm.
That was such a big deal, and they've taken a huge load off of us with that. Even behind the scenes charity, Music Health Alliance, all these groups, they're incredible, and I couldn't do my job without them. But what we do on the side, that peer support, so we walk people through all of those processes. Then we've got the Crew Peeps, like I told you about, that is our partner support group, and I just love, I love our monthly chats. We have people from every genre of the industry. We have weekend warriors down to stadiums to everything in between. We have a roadie kid who's been a roadie kid her whole life. She's 28 now, and her and her mom joined the call to just say, look, I'm a roadie kid. We turn out okay. And here's my mom, and this is how she raised me. And that's been really helpful because we have young moms and moms with teenagers and everything in between. And then we have DocuDirect. So we're able, usually, when the government isn't being insane, we're usually able to turn around passports in 24 hours if needed.
Wow.
That service has kind of been put on pause until our government can stop being stupid, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So usually the 24 hours, maybe 3 or 4 days now.
And how do you manage to do that? Like, what's the
Yeah.
process that you go through there?
Well, one of our roadies over COVID started working for a passport agency, and so she started learning all of the tricks. And one of those things is like reaching out to state senators' offices because they're the ones that can walk your passport through. So she started developing relationships and learning how this all works. So for the last 6 years, all she's done is process passports for like the super elite, the celebrities of the world. So she's taking that experience and she's giving that to our community at half the cost. And that's one of the only services that we charge for. So normally we say we have a 2 to 3 week turnaround time. We have a 7 to 10 day turnaround time and a 24-hour turnaround time. 24 hours is a little iffy right now.
That's
We're
incredible because that can be a massive. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I've got 2 passports, so I've
That's
always
smart.
handed one in. And although now, because I'm not traveling, when my passports run out, which I think is about 5 years, I've got another 5 years. Unless I've got another job in the touring
Yeah.
and someone, my second passport's gone. But I
Right.
love that thing. That thing is
Yes.
like, I got 2 passports,
Gold.
like gold dust.
And if you're watching this, get a second passport. Call us. We
Yeah.
can help you. It's necessary this time around, unfortunately. But
I think it is because, I mean, let's say my previous industry was Formula One. So virtually every weekend we were traveling somewhere different.
yes.
So we
Yes.
had to have the 2 passports, and you'd send
Absolutely.
one in for the visas, and even sometimes there was a close call. Like,
Well, yeah.
we were pushed through, but back in the day, I mean, I haven't worked for them for like 10 years now,
Sure.
but like back in the day, it was still,
Yeah.
it was still tight turnaround,
It's
and it's
tight.
really nerve-wracking.
Yes. And you just never know. Like, you could just
No.
miss one word or one X box. And that is Candace. She knows everything you need to check. She knows what to look for. If she can be your last set of eyes before you send it up into the ether, that's fantastic. So Candace, she is my lifeline there. And then we have Roadies in Recovery. We've been doing three 12-step meetings a week for 6 years now. They're at over 850 meetings so far that they've done. So I'm really proud of them. I don't touch that. That's led by roadies for roadies.
Mhm.
If you are a musician, you can't come. Sorry. So that's Roadies in Recovery. And then roadie.rx. So that's our telemedicine platform. We're the first group that we're able to launch that. It's 24/7 telemedicine, 24/7 virtual mental health, 300 prescriptions that are a part of the plan, and you can
How
fill it
does
in a
that work? You gotta tell me, like, again,
I wish
please.
I could share my screen. So if you go to my website and find roadie.rx, there is a list of 300 prescriptions, anything from women's health to like all of my mental health drugs were in this pharmacy list.
On the bottom of, the screen here, you should be able to share your screen. There
Minute,
should be just below
please.
our
Yep, I see it. I'm
yeah,
just
so if you
gonna
wanna share it, go for it.
super. So this was put together by our pharmacy partners, Mako RX, and do share screen. Roadie Talk RX. This is what I want to share. Great. So let's start at the beginning. We have our allergies, cold and flu, all of these antibiotics, arthritis and pain, cholesterol, birth control, diabetes. But
Wow.
here's my favorite part is this mental health section here.
Mhm.
A lot of good mental health meds are covered. The only thing that we don't cover are controlled substances for ADHD, but we have another group that we refer people to if they need ADHD meds while on the road. Um, yeah, so it's a really inclusive plan. Mako RX was able to partner with First Stop Health. So First Stop Health is the biggest telemedicine provider in America. They're the ones that actually do the telemedicine services. Then Mako RX, they do the pharmacy services. And so they say that for $45 a month, as a person, you can get all of these things and you don't have to be an American citizen to use it. So this is really important for anybody that works a lot in America but is based someplace else in the country. You can have this when you're in America. You can pause it or cancel it at any time for no penalty. We get the lifestyle. So if you're planning on being in America for 2 months, you can purchase this for 2 months and call it good. And it's just a rock dock in your pocket. Like, they don't really call doctors for the crew, so you can call the doctor for yourself. And because Mako RX put together a local pharmacy network, we were able to vet that list, and there's a pharmacy near every venue in America. And those pharmacies, because they're owned by moms and pops, a lot of them will deliver to hotels and venues for free.
No way.
Yeah.
And
So
what made you think of this and think of doing this?
Well, I didn't. I was approached by Mako RX and they were like, hey, we've got this platform. We actually built it for the immigrant community, but then legally it just became a mess. So we shelved it, but it's sitting here and it's ready to go. Can we use it for your population? And I was like, well, so it took about 3 years because, the first issue was we can't have a group of people like in America they have RX groups and it's based on your employer. Well, I'm not employing these people, so how do I get them to sign up? So they worked on that first, and then I was like, okay, but what about people that aren't based in America? So they worked on that next, and then okay, well, what about telemedicine? Like, I'm going to offer them pharmacy without telemedicine. So they really listened, and I remember the day that Vinay, who is the founder of Mako RX, he's like, Courtney, I think we finally did it. And I said, ooh, do tell. The fabulous part to me is that for $55 a month, your whole family can be on that plan. So if you got a family of 10, for $55 a month total, all 10 of those people are covered. They all get therapy. They all get the prescriptions. So it really is a great resource for the
Really,
touring.
that is because you often don't hear, okay, someone like for me from Europe, especially, America's really scary because
It is
you get charged for everything and anything. And it's like, so
the
for
worst.
this, is
Yeah.
just, and what about for people? I take it on the list, there's nothing on there that's obviously everything's still, what's the word? Controlled, so like obviously you've got your account and it's controlled.
Yes.
So
Yes.
somebody that has got a substance
Yes.
issue, they're all monitoring that as well.
Well, yeah, and anybody with a substance issue, we don't have any of those substances available. Like, there's nothing on this list that anybody can get addicted to.
Mhm.
That is in America, they're called controlled substances, like Ritalin for ADHD
Mhm.
or painkillers, things like that. Like massive painkillers are not going to be on these
On there.
lists because you have to see a special doctor in
Mhm.
person to get controlled pain relief and to get controlled ADHD relief. So that's not an issue on here. No.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And
Yeah.
so that's all on your website.
All
And
on our
are y-
website.
and are you doing most of the like say sessions that you're doing at the moment? Most things are online and where people
Yep.
can contact you. Yeah.
Absolutely. So every now and then you'll see us show up if the band brings us out to like rehearsals. And if the band brings us out, we just say, hey, it's not just about us. Here's all the other groups and what they do, and here's what we
Hmm.
do. And I always say, just listen for the keyword. I know you're not going to process everything that I'm saying, but if you hear me say health insurance and you know you have problems with that, call me. If you hear me say passports and nothing else, and you need help with that, call me. But yeah, everything that I do right here from my desk for the most part. I will be out at a venue here and there, but we don't have the capacity to afford a lot of travel and to, go to conferences and stuff right now. If our situation changes with donations, then maybe that will be the case. But
And
we
does
can be,
Paul travel now still, or is he just
yeah.
focused with this? Yeah.
There is one client that I let take him away, and
Uh,
it's a corporate client. It's not. I mean, they bring him in for insurance more or less. They know that the show will happen if Paul is there, and it's
mhm.
often like a fashion show that has an artist come in for that, event or whatever. So this is busy season, and his last gig will be the Met Gala in May. And then I'm trying to keep him home May, June, July so we can get this bar open and built, this listening space up and running. The hope is that he never really has to leave again, although I would still hope that he could leave once a month. I need my sanity, so if he could
Yeah,
just
well,
still go.
it's funny you say that, like, hopefully, won't have to leave again. But I think once it's in our blood to do it, whether you're the partner that's at home that's been used to your partner leaving, or vice versa, like I hadn't toured basically since COVID, and then last year I went
Yeah.
away and I toured just for 2 months.
Mhm.
I missed it. Like, I didn't realize I missed it, but I
Yeah.
did. I missed it.
Yeah.
However, when I was there, I was like, "What the heck am I doing?" Like
Yes.
and I called my boss, like, for,
Yeah.
Marcel, and I was like well, at one point, I was crying. I was like, "I can't do this. I need to go home." But I'm really happy I did it, and
Good.
I said to him, I was like, "If I could get 1 tour a year, I would be very happy, but not like a
Yeah.
6-month jobby, like a just,
Just a
one
little.
tour. I'd be very happy." So far, I don't know what's going on. Well, we know what's going on in the world. It seems to be very, very quiet right now. A lot of my friends are also saying it's very quiet. Um, and that's another really, oh, anxiety.
Yeah, we're all used to the phone ringing around this time, right? I mean, like, we're used to January and February being terrifying in some ways, just
Oh,
on
it
a
is.
yeah, because you just don't know. You don't know if you're gonna like, yeah, you've been touring with that artist for the last 5 years, but you don't know if you're gonna be asked back. You literally have no concept. And my husband always says you're not on the bus till you're on the bus. And even once you're on the bus, you can still get, once you get that flight, it still can sometimes get canceled. But yeah, when you spend the majority of your marriage apart, when you're
Mhm.
suddenly together, it's for all the time? It's just like, what is this? I don't like, I guess this is what I signed up for when we walked down the aisle, but we were different people back then. So yeah, but I'm always gonna be obsessed with my husband. That's never gonna change. But because we chose not to have kids, we were kind of like, what is the point? Why are we doing this? And so what he's building in the background, the studio for him is just a tool. He's building an independent music television platform.
Mhm.
And every artist that comes through here, like I said, they get filmed and essentially they get to leave with the entire live show that they just did in the studio. They get to leave with social media clips that we've already, you know, clipped up for them, and they have an interview. Everybody gets an interview and they get to share their stories. um so he always says, I'm done making money for the big artists. Like, I'm done making money for Live Nation. I'm done. I want to take care of these independent artists the way I took care of Justin Timberlake. And that's the same for me. It's like, Yeah, I could send Paul out to hang out with all of you. What's the point? Like, there needs to be a light on in the window. There needs to be a home base where you know as a crew member that there is a place and a group of people that fully understand you. There's nothing you can say that would shock us, and we're going to be here and we're available. And so, however you communicate best is how you find us. If that's going to our email or to our website and filling out that form, and by form, I mean name, email address, and tell us your story. That's all I'm asking for. If that's how you communicate, get us that way. If it's through DMs on social media, get us that way. If you want to text us, text us. If you want to call, call. And we're going to be there to support you in whatever the situation might be. Like, we will have a resource, and if we don't, we will figure it out together. We always say that roadies make miracles happen every 24 hours, and we don't say no to a challenge. And there's only
Mhm.
one person that I've had to turn away, and that was demonic possession is what she thought she had going on, and I was like, nope, I'm a pastor's kid and I'm not touching that one, sorry. And she had never toured, I figured out in the end, but like literally there's not been a person outside of her that's come to us and said, I need X, and we haven't been able to say, oh, here's why. Like, even down to, I've got aging parents, what do you know about that? And I'm like, well, my father-in-law would have been 101 this year, so I think I know a little something about aging parents. Or how do I safely get an abortion in the States? Help walk them through that process. How do I get my meds? I just had a death in the crew. What do I do? I mean, there's nothing that we don't have a resource for, and we might not be the ones that see you through to the end. We might introduce you to the group that you
Somebody
really
else. Yep.
need. But that's where the hub kind of is. Just we have this network even outside of the music industry,
Mhm.
other groups that want to help the industry, right? So don't be afraid, just find us find us, and we will help in whatever way
So
that
a
we can.
question for you is how do you cope with this? Well, because you've got so many
I do.
people come to you, and yeah, how do you put them into a little package, shall we say? And
Ample amounts of Diet Coke are the
okay.
first thing that help me through. And I take my medicine regularly, and that helps me through. Um, I think being married to a person with all of the neurodivergence that he has really set me up for success with this one. And I learned a long time ago how to not carry the weight of others on my shoulders.
Mhm.
So when somebody comes to me, classic case, a person was referred to me and they said, uh, yeah, if you could help me with my prescriptions, I can't seem to get my prescriptions while I'm on the road. And I said, okay, well, let's just have a chat. And turns out that they were $11,000 behind on their mortgage, and they hadn't been insured in 2 months, and they had teenage kids who weren't insured. And by the way, their spouse, retired military with a traumatic brain injury, and got to take care of that. And and I remember when they told me, I'm not telling you that my partner has a traumatic brain injury to make you feel bad for me. And I was like, please understand, that's just more ammo this is fact finding, and that just helps me realize what you need. It's more than just with a TBI. There's so much more that you need outside of, and I'm not carrying the weight of that TBI. I'm excited to help you find some hope and to help you find some freedom and to help you find some support. So the seriously, it's on Do Not Disturb. so, so um the uh my
The
brain when
the
it gets no,
the
I know what I'm going for. It's like, yeah, I'm able to see the pain and see the frustration and see the hurt and see that as like almost not that they're a problem to solve, but like that's the equation in front of me, and I have to figure out solutions to get to hope, to get to health, to get to peace. That if somebody can leave a conversation with me and respond, oh my gosh, this is the first time I felt hope in years, or this is the first time I felt like somebody cares and somebody's listening and somebody's there for me, just that they can text, and what does this mean and whatever. And I think that the combination of all of that just keeps me showing up to my desk every single day. And then the combination of that in the studio, now I'm having this surgence of like musicians coming in my door, and these are independent musicians who are roadies in their own right. So now if like last week we had 4 days, 4 bands, and all 4 of them, they would come into the studio, oh my goodness, this exists in Michigan. And then they'd go into the tracking room, into the control room, and then right here into the kitchen. There's the refrigerator. And I'm like, ooh, my turn. Do you know what the resources are in this industry that could support you? Are you aware? And by the time they leave this office, I've helped with like my latest newsletter. There were 8 different life resources that I had assisted with, and right before this conversation, I'm working with another musician who, needs therapy and a therapy grant, and.
Mhm.
So if we can help one person not suffer the way that we did in our isolation as a married couple in this industry all those years ago when we didn't know what was out there, you hear your whole life, well, get a real job, or what
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
this doesn't make sense. If you're not happy or if it's not treating your body well, why don't you just change jobs? And it's like, hold up. um, yeah,
Because it is a fabulous industry.
yes,
Everything about the industry is fabulous, but it does come with its challenges, and it's not for the faint-hearted, as I
no.
always, you know, and it's not. But I mean, what would you say right now? What's some of the biggest challenges you see, like crew members, like facing? Is it mentally? Is it physically? Is it financially? Or is it just like a mix of everything?
It's a mix of everything, and it's this bizarre situation that we're in right now where our industry's only 60-ish years old. So we're seeing roadies that are in their 70s and 80s, and we're seeing roadies that are 19, 20, 21, and they're on the same crew, and they've lived completely different experiences. So you've got the guys with their old stories and their old folk tales and their old paranoias, and they're trying to, and the kids are like, what the hell are you talking about? And these younger people have to be educated in a way that generation didn't have to be educated, because
Yeah, yeah.
they're bending physics. They're not as much. The Eric Clapton crew is not the same as the workload on an EDM artist or like Katy Perry. The amount of skills and knowledge that you have to have on the video physics side of things. So it's just this, and then our generation is right there in the middle, and we're trying to make both sides just
Happy.
play nice to each other. There's also that whole like above and below management line. So if you have a tour that there's just like a closed door policy with tour management, with Live Nation or whoever owns that tour, then there's this whole like, I don't have a voice all of a sudden, right? So it is it's just there's a shift happening where we're seeing one generation not retire, but only because they don't know how, and us trying to like
They
right
also
the
don't want
ship.
to.
They also
Like
don't want to.
like
Nope.
we have, okay, not necessarily on here. I like have lovely ladies like
Yeah.
yourself come on, but like Marcel, he has a lot of like the older generation,
Yep.
the legends of our industry,
Yep.
and they're still out there. They're still out there touring. In fact,
Yes.
one gentleman, okay, he's not actually, he's not that old, but he was like, when I do retire, he said, I keep on putting my prices up, and they keep on
Yeah.
paying it,
Yeah.
like because they want him. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to retire. I was
Absolutely.
like,
Put the you It's like the power to say no, right? And so those people, they just keep, I remember the day that we put a stupid number on a job that was like the pain and suffering number, and they were
mhm,
like, yeah, okay, cool, we'll take you. I was like, damn it, should have charged more. Yes, so some don't want to, don't know how to. So there's career counselors, there are senior services out there for if somebody is ready for that phase. And sometimes it's forced upon them from bodily injury or disease or unmanaged
mhm.
diabetes. We're seeing a lot of strokes, a lot of Parkinson's and PTSD. And we actually have a study going on with some doctors, believe it or not, on the side. We can go into that some other day, but there's a group of medical practitioners that are actually studying roadie brains right now to figure out,
No,
is
you
there
got to
a
tell me more about that. Come on, please. Do you have time?
I do. I have 5 minutes. So essentially,
Okay.
2 years ago, I met a group of doctors through PAMA, which is the Performing Arts Medical Association, and they have conferences, I think, at least once a year, maybe twice a year. And this group of doctors in particular they invited me to speak on a panel, why it's so difficult to advocate for people or for performers and crew members or something like that. These doctors, like, there were sessions on lip embouchures and issues with that. There were sessions for the violin players for this
Oh,
part of
yeah.
their neck and
Mhm.
sessions about that. Toes for ballerina dancers,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So I met Dr. Yeen Lee. She's out of the University of North Texas. That has the largest graduating class of performers every year. They graduate something like 3,000 performers every year, and that could be like orchestral musicians, that could be dancers, that could be singers, whatever. But because of that, they created a free clinic there at that university for alumni, so that wherever you are in this world, if you need medical support, you can go there and receive it for free. On that panel was also another delightful doctor, part of the PAPA network, which is the Filipino Association of Doctors. She's handling the student doctors who are currently researching the question. We're trying to formulate the question. Essentially, a roadie came to me over COVID and he became a cop, and he started noticing a lot of parallels between the PTSD of a cop brain and that of a roadie brain. And he had a lot of people in his network that had gone through the strokes and the PTSD and all of the things. So when I kind of shared that with this group of physicians, they're like, oh, we need to study this. We need to look into this. So, and then in the meantime, the University of North Texas just built a new brain scanning device. And so I think that Dr. Lee is going to work with that university to, and then
Wow.
I've got, every time I tell a roadie about this, they're like, sign me up. You can scan my brain. I'm ready anytime. Because if you think about it, a tour bus is not quiet. So even when you're sleeping, the level of noise on the
Yeah.
bus is not quiet. Then if you're in the arena the whole time during rehearsals and all the things, there's just never a moment of quiet. What's that doing to, and what is being in a dark environment for 18 hours a day? And what is,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all of
yeah.
the
No.
things. So it's happening in the background. This is going to be a several year process, but it's working. It's happening. It's
Yeah, but I
crazy.
think that's the first time I've heard of that. So thank you for just going into that roughly, because again, yeah, like sign not me personally, but yeah, roadies, come on, sign me up and just see
Yeah,
what activities, what's actually going on. Because like you said,
absolutely.
you're on a tour bus and you've got the vibrations of the
Yep.
bus and you've got this, you've got when you're in the arenas, the stadiums, like the whole lot, your whole how many months, it just
Yep.
doesn't stop.
There you go. And then you compound that with year upon year upon year upon year. And it's not even something you think about. When you're young, that stuff doesn't affect you as much. When Paul was first in a tour bus, his giant body was fine.
Yeah.
Like he was like, that was no problem. Not sleeping for 5 days, whatever. He did that no problem. But when you hit 40, and you're getting closer to 50, and you're getting, that body doesn't squeeze into that airplane as easily as it used to, and you start feeling things that are out of whack that never used to be,
I
and
just
like
turned 46 and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm closer
yeah,
to 50 now."
yeah,
My body is just not the same.
oh
Like, I mean, like we the hot flushes, the all of these
yes,
come in, the
perimenopause is real.
it is real and it's horrible. And one minute I can be like just as fine, then I'm crying
Yep,
and I have no idea why. Like I
yep,
spoke to a good friend of mine and we're going through with my husband now. I'm like, "Thank you for understanding me." Because
it's a
he
big deal.
knows that there's days where even here, my paradise island,
Yeah,
there's nothing in me, but instead of fighting it, which I have done for many years, getting frustrated, now I'm like, "Okay, it's one of those days, darling.
yeah,
Just one of those days. Like, I'm
and
just gonna fall. You don't expect anything from me today."
yes, I
Then the
love
next
that your
day,
husband does that. Yes.
yeah, really, I mean, today, bless him, he's literally done everything in the house. He's done all the washing. He's
Ugh.
done absolutely everything. I prepared today for obviously chatting to you. It's later for me now. But really, I was like, I need my full energy. I said, you're not going to have me today. He said, it's
Yeah.
fine, my love. Like, is it one of those days? I said, well, it's nearly time for that as well. So
Yeah.
yes.
Let's call it. Yes, absolutely.
But so many people don't talk about it. And
They really don't.
and it's something to not be ashamed of. And,
Yes.
I've got a calendar, exactly like you said, we've got a
Yep.
calendar. So he has it as well. And sometimes I forget and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I always forget. And then I'm like,
Why do we?
oh, right. It's been a month. Yep. Here we go again. Yeah. It's a form of hell that I never wanted to experience. That's for sure. But I also have a husband that's so supportive. He thinks it's adorable when I'm going through a hot flash. I want to punch him in the face when he says it.
Not adorable.
But he's like, oh, honey. Oh, that's so sweet. Your body's transitioning. And I'm like, I know I should be thankful that you think that this is sweet. Why don't you crawl inside my body and feel this fiery inferno of hell that I'm going through right now? Oh, but
I
this
also
is...
right now my husband, he's like he also goes, oh, he goes, hello, my little supermodel. I'm like, I'm not little anymore. I said I'm not. And I look at him and I'm like, I gotta love you, but sometimes I wish you was really horrible and go, oh, you've put on weight, like a horrible husband. Like, I wish you was, because you say I'm your supermodel. I'm gonna eat that chocolate brownie.
Yes, I am. I got my blood work done yesterday, and last
Yeah.
night I'm looking at my numbers just like skyrocketing or falling, and all I could do, like Courtney 2 years ago would have sobbed, and last night I was just cracking up. I'm like, well, here we go. Here comes all the pills. Here comes all, like, what am I supposed to do? This is just genetic. Like, I remember texting mom last night and I'm like, well, the hypothyroidism had kicked in and I'm starting a new med tomorrow. And she's like, welcome to the family, babe. You get that honestly. And I'm like, because I need that on top of my fibromyalgia, and on top of my perimenopause. Let's just throw in hypothyroidism. And to the women on tour right now in the 40 to 60 age range, I just say you all are warriors. I have no idea. No concept on how you're handling what I'm experiencing at home out there on the road. Like, that is not for the weak of heart. No.
And sometimes you can also understand when, I've been on tour and sometimes people are like, why are you like that today? But not understanding it because I was a little bit younger,
Yes.
like, and now I do. And now I'm like, okay. So, but Courtney, I know you've got a hard finish now, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here. I could chat for another 2 hours with you.
Could I. We can do a part 2 whenever you want.
Exactly. And you basically, but I'm going to put your website up. I know you've done the guest podcast, so everybody can check your pod page out and click on all your links. And anything you want to send me, you can send it my way, and we'll always help push things through. So thank you.
Thank you.
And great to meet you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Okay, bye.
La 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 la, ladies, the ladies. La, la, la. Now here's the leading ladies by geezers of gear. On tour, maybe she got some stories to share. Now here's the leading ladies by the geezers of gear. Rock star ladies with some stories to share, because la 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 ladies, the ladies, la 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 ladies. Yeah, she's a Now here's the leading ladies by geezers of gear. Rockstar ladies with some stories to share.